The White House thrilled with this new announcement and dispatching officials to explain it, including a top official instrumental in these decisions, the president's director of the Domestic Policy Council, Susan Rice. You may recall her. She's got extensive experience as a diplomat, as ambassador to the UN, and as national security advisor in the Obama-Biden administration. She joins us now from the White House on this big news day. Domestic Policy Council Director Susan Rice, thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, Ari. Thanks for having me.
Let's begin with the big news. What does this program do for the affected individuals who have those loans? And what, if anything, do you think it does to help other Americans who are looking at this as money during what has been a rocky economic time?
Well, first of all, Ari, there are many aspects to what the president announced today, and I think it's important to hear them as a whole. In the first instance, he said, because we are emerging from the pandemic, it's time to end the pause on repayment of student loans, which began under President Trump at the beginning of the pandemic and has been extended. That pause will end at the end of this year, December 31st. So he's going to extend it for one final period. Secondly, to ease the burden on those who have suffered during the pandemic, as well as to make the transition to repayment more viable and reduce the risk of default. He decided, as you said, with the Secretary of Education, who's the key administrator on this, to forgive $20,000 up to $20,000 for all Pell Grant recipients. These are people who came from families, for the most part, vast majority of whom came from families that earned less than $60,000 a year. Half of these came from families earning less than $30,000 a year. And they're the people with the greatest need. And that is provided that their current income is less than $125,000 a year. And then for those who are not Pell Grant recipients but still have less than $125,000 a year in income, a $10,000 forgiveness. Now that's for to deal with the past. To deal with the current students and future students and to fix what is a badly broken student loan system, he's making very significant changes to something called the income-driven repayment plan. That means that going forward, when you take out loans, you will only have to pay 5% of your discretionary income in your monthly payments. Right now, that's 10%. So this is going to save people, on average, $1,000 a year. And it will also mean that once you've been paying for 20 years, you won't have to pay anymore, regardless of your balance. And if you're paying on time, you're not going to accrue this ballooning interest that has been so burdensome for so many. So this is going to be helpful, Ari, to up to 43 million Americans who are eligible for this relief. And why is that important? These are low and middle income people who have been suffering under the weight of this debt, may be unable to begin to buy a home, launch a small business. Some of these people, believe it or not, are seniors who are still paying student debt. So this is beneficial to the entire economy, to answer your second part of your question, because when people have disposable income that they can use to make the economy more robust and to invest, that's good for everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as you mentioned, it's been a widely attacked system because of the way it hasn't worked as other things have evolved. Now, I don't want to hit you with the Goldilocks question here, but this is one of those days where Republicans have responded and called this, quote, loan socialism, while some progressives, who I know you and the president hold in pretty high regard, have said basically 10K, 20K, that's not enough. There's no reason to, quote, stop here. Says one of the leaders of the debt collective. Your response?
Well, first of all, the president committed during the campaign to work with Congress, if possible, and that hasn't proved to be possible, to cancel $10,000 broadly for student debtors. He's met that commitment and exceeded that commitment by providing up to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients, who, by the way, are 60% of the eligible borrowers. So this is a very significant action. 45% of the 43 million eligible borrowers are going to be able to have all of their debt wiped out completely. That's 20 million people. For 2/3 of Americans, Ari, who are student loan borrowers, they will have half or more of their debt eliminated. So this is targeted. but it is targeted in a way that will help those that need it most. And, you know, I understand there's some who would love to have seen it be $50,000. The president has been clear from the outset that he thought that went too far. And for the Republicans who think that this shouldn't be done at all, I'd like to point out the following. They had no complaint when the government made loans and forgave them to small businesses during the pandemic. You never heard them complain about that, or even big businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses. So this is very selective concern, and they didn't talk about it raising inflation then, but they worry about helping working and middle-class people today. So there's a great irony here. And then last point is, if you look at the Trump tax cut in 2017, 85% of those people who benefited from the Trump tax cut earned more than $75,000. 50% of those who benefited earned over $250,000. Under what Joe Biden and Secretary Cardona announced today, nearly 90% of those who will benefit from this debt relief are those earning less than $75,000.
No, I think that's fair. I know your time is short. We have 45 seconds here. Given the other big story, I did want to ask you, as a former national security advisor, you have former President Trump and his allies saying that either he declassified things in his mind or maybe he just took them for his memoirs. Given your experience, have you ever heard of a former president or top official just walking out the door with 300 classified documents? Do you view that as relatively normal and forgivable, or is this a national security concern?
I have never heard of something like that. I don't want to stray into the national security lane, and I'll stay in my own, but I think it just is a statement of fact. I've never heard of something like that.
Yeah, understood. You have the experience, understand what you're focused on in your current role, but we thought we'd ask, given your expertise. Susan Rice at the White House, thanks for making time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ari.